Alright guys, so in my hand today we have what is, by definition, the most hyped sneaker of 2022. Now, you guys probably already know what it is, of course. It is the Jordan 1 High Retro OG Lost and Found Chicago. Now, the last time a Chicago colorway of the Jordan 1 dropped was in 2015, and this is pretty much the most coveted Jordan 1 out there. Probably up there with all the collabs, but in terms of OG color blockings, it doesn't get more OG than this. These are the original Jordan 1s. They came out in 1985, and ever since then they've pretty much been a collector's item for everyone who likes Jordan brand and all that. It's impossible not to like the Jordan 1 Chicago because it's such an iconic shoe. Now, this particular shoe, the Jordan 1 Lost and Found, takes a big twist on the Chicago, and we're going to go through the detailing and all that in just a second. But before we do that, I'm going to just take a look at the box because this is one of the coolest boxes that we've seen in a while. So right off the bat, you can see that there is something a little bit different about this Jordan 1 Lost and Found box, which is that it has the regular bottom, but then it has the AJ1 top, or it also can be referenced as like an Air Max 1 top. And the reason why this is part of the storyline of the shoe itself, being that this shoe was found at the back of a mom and pop shop after laying around for many years. The person who brought it out to the customer even mismatched the lid, which adds to like that vintage aesthetic to it. Right there you can see the front of the box again. It's got like some vintage vibes. The back also has very vintage looking vibes. On the side of the shoe box, you obviously have this shoe tag right there. These are straight from Snipes USA, so they definitely are a legit pair. That is what the tag is supposed to look like for legit checking purposes. Inside the box, I took everything out of the box just to show you what it'll look like bare bones stock, but you got the YBM tag as usual, as you get on all Jordan 1 legit pairs. This is the inside of the box, pretty standard issue stuff. On the lid of the shoe itself, you have that stamp that shows the legitimacy of the shoe, as it usually does. And then you also got this sticker, or this tag rather, which is one of the coolest details about the packaging of the shoe. This should come with every legit pair, exactly like this. Pause the video, do what you gotta do. It says Sandy Bros Sports Depot, date August 30th, 86, and for a price of $14.99. So obviously, when a shoe is debuted and it has to be marketed towards these skate shops and like sneaker boutiques and all that, it is much harder to get them to list your product. You have to explain to them why they would want to carry the Jordan 1 Low High Chicago, which is crazy to think about because nowadays Nike doesn't have to do any advertising, of course, because everyone knows about their shoes and their products and all that. They've pretty much made it to the biggest leagues that a company could ever make it to, and a lot of people are very angry about this collab because they are referencing the very mom and pop shops that they helped to destroy over time by putting them all out of business and selling directly to the consumer. That's neither here nor there. That's up to you guys to decide if that is the right move by Nike or not. But all I know is a price of $14.99 on this shoe is absolutely crazy, and that will never happen again, obviously. Now, one of the coolest details about this shoe in general is the tissue paper. This is pretty much what it looks like. You have like a bunch of different Jordan insignia all over the wrapping paper of the shoe. You can see right there, Air Jordan 1 super sale. And these sales actually did happen. Like, Jordan was not always the player that he is today, or the player that he ended up being in the 2000s and the 1990s. Obviously, he was a rookie. He was pretty young for the amount of fame he got. And this insignia kind of pays homage to that, if you will. At one point it says, like, we've never seen anything like this, because at the time when Jordan did hit the scene, no one had ever seen a player quite like him. And that is definitely true even to this day, that no one's been able to rival him, which is obviously one of the main reasons why the Jordan brand was so successful. Now let's jump into the shoe. We're probably already 10 minutes into the video. We haven't even touched the shoe, so it's going to be a longer video. There's much more details to cover on this shoe compared to most shoes. This is the lateral side of the shoe. It looks pretty much like a Jordan 1 Chicago. You got that Wings logo on top right there in the regular way of doing it, so pretty vintage on that, pretty OG. You have the red leather, which is a perfect shade of Chicago Bulls red. The black swoosh right here. This leather feels pretty thick and nice as well. Yeah, the red leather is pretty nice. Honestly, the leather on the shoe in general is very nice. Like, oh, and another thing is that they don't come with shoe trees. They just come with like a tissue paper. So if I push down on the shoe, there's nothing really in it, so you can see the quality. The quality, I would say, is definitely above average for Jordan 1s. The red leather is very plush. The white leather is a crackled leather, which you can't really tell that much on camera because it does look pretty smooth on camera, but it is a crackled leather. It is good quality though. They didn't cheap out on the leather on these, which is good because a lot of very coveted Jordan 1s have very bad leather. This isn't one of them. Obviously, the most controversial part of the shoe is this black part on the back. You could see even on camera pretty well that it is like a speckled black instead of like a flat black. It's very textured and like it's supposed to represent an aging Jordan 1 with the sparkles that you sometimes see. But I think this detail is cool. It definitely probably would have been more popular had it just been a flat black colorway, but they didn't want to do that because that would pretty much just be the Chicago all over again, and they wanted to make these the lost and founds. The inside of the shoe is pretty much the same as you would expect. You got the same swoosh, and then that red Chicago leather. As far as the front of the shoe goes, there's a few interesting things. First of all, the Nike Air on the tag does look to be a slightly different font than a regular Jordan 1. I'm actually going to grab my taxis and show you guys what I mean. So as you can see here, I would say that there's a pretty noticeable difference. Like right here you have like the regular Nike Air logo with the Air like right up against the white part, and on here it looks to be a little bit farther out. This is because the cut of the shoe is actually different. Like you can see that they are slightly different like heights. The next interesting thing about the front of the shoe is this tongue. A lot of people are very annoyed with the shade on this tongue. You can tell even on camera that it does have a pinkish hue. That is to look vintage. It's not really that noticeable on foot, to be honest, but they do definitely not look white on the tongue, and some people are not gonna like that whatsoever. But I think that's a cool aspect of it because they don't look that worn when you actually wear them. Another thing is that the whites on the shoe are pretty much just sail. Like that sail. The lace locks right here are also very sail. And when you lace up the shoe, you can tell that there's like a bunch of yellowish hits of sail all over the shoe, which add to that vintage look. They come laced up with the white and the black laces. So if yours don't come like this and they're brand new, they're very likely fake. I would even go as far as to say they are fake, because this is how the Chicagos came and they stayed true to it. You can also see that it comes with a white lace and a black lace, no red laces. I don't think Chicago's ever really came with a red lace. The bottom of the shoe also has like this sparkly crackled pattern on it, and like the cracked leather part is kind of like a trademark of the shoe itself. I think this is insanely smart, because the outsole just simply won't show wear really because of that. It comes pretty much pre-aged and it doesn't look DS. So if you wear them a few times, you won't be able to tell a difference, which I think is really cool. And that's kind of like the Nigel Sylvester ones, which I believe these took some level of inspiration. Those are pretty much the main details of the shoe. This is the back tab right here. Not going to get too much into that, but that's what it looks like. Other than that, it's pretty much just a regular Jordan 1. Once again, side by side with the taxis right there. I could almost swear that the taxis are just a bit higher, but I'm not an expert on height of shoes, obviously. So yeah. In terms of price predictions on these shoes, what I would say is that right now would probably not be the best time to buy them. If you didn't hit for retail and you want them for the personal, I would say wait a little bit, because usually about 3 to 4 weeks after a shoe drops is when they plateau a little bit. They're going for around $420 on GOAT and like around $390 on StockX, so they're still very much up there. In terms of stock numbers, they apparently were very high at 300,000 pairs, but they were still extremely hard to get. I got extremely lucky and I hit them for retail off the Sneakers app. This is not even my pair. This is a pair from Snipes that I was given to review specifically, and then I have to give them back to the owner. But my size 10 is on the way from Sneakers, and I also got a size 7Y. So big W's for me. I can't say the same for a lot of other people. One other thing I do want to mention is that the quality control on this shoe, at least from this pair, seems to be much better than a regular Jordan 1 or a regular Nike Dunk. Like, I don't see a single glue stain besides for maybe this little white dot on the back, but other than that, these look literally completely immaculate and they have no quality control issues at all. So that is definitely a relief, because I've heard of a few pairs being like a little bit off in terms of quality control. This pair is great. Hopefully my pair is great as well. With that being said, I'm going to get this video out to you guys, because I'm sure you want the authentic look at a real pair of Chicago 1s or lost and found 1s. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.